One thing I sent y'all over text was just having another MVP conversation. Carl made a post last night about Luka. Some people are going to say this guy, the other guy. I've heard a lot of Giannis stuff. To me, it's clear cut who the number one guy is, and it's Jayson Tatum. Just had 45 tonight in Boston against Miami. I know that Heat team doesn't really have the guys that they need to have, like Jimmy Butler. He hasn't been playing the entire season, but he had 45. He was tearing their zone defense up, efficient shooting. It's just been that type of year for Tatum. I wanted to talk to y'all and ask y'all like who you guys had as your MVP front runner, but to me, it's almost a clear cut Jayson Tatum. And I know it's competitive, but just looking how everything's playing out, it's almost clear cut with Tatum. He's got everything. He's got the number one record. Boston's like the best team in the league. I got to go with Tatum at one. I don't know where y'all heads are at with it right now, but who is y'all top guy for MVP right now?
I got to go Tatum. He just had 49 tonight.
49,
actually.
Yeah.
Damn. He's been on a tear, especially Celtics, not even just Tatum, the Celtics as a whole, they've been on a tear, but with Tatum at the helm. I know we had previous episodes, we talked about how he's really taking a leap defensively. Really taking that leap, taking the initiative to become that defensive leader next to Marcus Smart. But I think when you talking about MVP front runners, he's got to be at that top of the list.
Yeah. I feel like there's no wrong answer to this question because I get that Jayson Tatum has put up like, I think he's averaged like 32, probably 33 now because he had a 49-point game. So it's probably close to 33. And I think Luka's averaged around like 40, not 40. I wish he was around because he had 40 last night. That's why I was in my head. But he's averaging around 33 points. So they're averaging around the same amount of points. But then obviously the Celtics are a better team. So I feel like you really can't go wrong because Luka has been playing just as good, if not better than Jayson Tatum. It's a difference in team success. Yeah. But we all know one team, if two players are compared to each other when like discussing MVP, we all know the team that wins the most, whichever person is on the most winningest team is probably going to win it. So yes. I can see why you all say Jayson Tatum, but I'm kind of split down the middle. To be honest with you.
Yeah. When you look at it, it's kind of, these are two guys. And I know we had a whole video that did very well where we compared these two. And I know back then people may have said that we're tripping, but I'm looking back at stuff now. I just saw a big channel. I'm not going to say the name. I just saw a big basketball channel start the conversation about Jayson Tatum possibly closing that gap against Luka. So we weren't crazy for thinking that a couple of weeks back. There's one thing that makes Tatum so special, dude, is these are all, and I call them skill points, and it's going to be weird, but every 30, it's going to sound weird, but all these 32 points he's getting, a 49% shooter from the floor, 37% from three, these are all tough buckets. These aren't just, and this is really for my compare, because I feel like for a lot of people, the top two is looking like him versus Giannis right now. If I'm comparing these two guys, these shots Tatum's hitting, these are very difficult shots. This is a wing. This is a highly skilled wing player hitting these shots and coming down and playing defense. And the efficiency is off the chain. To me, it's we're getting to, and I don't want to sit here and reiterate an episode we had a couple of weeks ago, but like I said, he's legitimately getting into that top 5 status, and he's getting there fast. You know what I'm saying? 5 assists a game too. He's getting into that area. So yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about that 49 point performance. He had almost 50 against the Miami zone defense. You even think about how he can react to the different defenses they're giving him. You know, that's 50 against a zone defensive set that he kind of struggled against last year in the finals. Dude's special, bro. So he's without a doubt at the top of my list right now. To me, he's running with it. I don't know about y'all, but he's running with it to me.
Yeah. I mean, I will ask you this: if and this is hypothetical. I know we don't like to do hypothetical, but if say the Mavericks had the same record, would you still feel that way?
I think yes, because I think the defense thing is going to be a big separator. Okay. But you know what? Yeah, I think defense is going to be a big separator. Like right now, I guess you could say Tatum is playing defense at a level to where he's an all defensive player. All defensive. I
was just about to build off that. Do you think he's like a top 5 or top 3 defense player of the year candidate too?
Nah.
Or not?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Just checking your temperature. I'm just checking your temperature. That's it.
I don't know if he's there yet, but at the same time, I think there's going to be a big separating factor between the two of them is going to be the entire defense thing. Y'all know how it is. I'm always going to value defense. I mean, even look at it, that's why Giannis won 2 in a row. It wasn't just because of what he was doing on the offensive end, but it's because the league got to a point where they wanted to value defense a little bit more. So yeah, shout out to Tatum doing his thing. Shout out to Boston as a whole, and they're doing it without their best defensive player as well, which makes them 10 times scarier. So.
See, I would agree with you, but I don't know if the league really values defense more because Jokic won back to back, and we know he doesn't play defense.
True.
So it's really it's like, bro, I feel like when you're picking MVPs, especially if it's close, you're like splitting hairs because it's really just about how much the writers or whoever, or ESPN or the sports writers, whoever they just like more. Yeah. There's no right or wrong answer because I can easily just say Luka's MVP and a person, and I don't really have expertise, but another person could say something opposite, say Jayson Tatum. Yep. So it's really, I think it's splitting hairs when you pick an MVP because it just depends on what you look at. Like you look at defense and offense. Blake might look at both, and I might just look at offense.
Yeah, so, it's a narrative thing too. Like that's why they stopped giving the guys they want like 2. They're like, okay, you're not going to win a third one in a row. Even if you're serving up.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah. So it is 100% who the writers, because every time with the NBA, there are just these guys that just fall in love with randomly. You know what I'm saying? They just start hyping the hell up or whatever the case may be. Like I remember it can even be role play. I'm getting off subject, but it can even be role players. Like I remember a couple years back, like they were really big. I know Norman Powell's good, but they were really big on Norman Powell, or they were really big on Aaron Gordon or whatever. So these writers really have a lot of say and shit like that. So.
No, you was big on Norman Powell. Remember that? Boy used to hype up Norman Powell like he was the second coming to Michael Jordan. Yeah, he had like what did he have last night? Like 30?
Yeah, I want to say he had like 32 last night. Yeah, he averaged 20 last year. Yeah, he almost. So and this is totally off topic. He's got like 3 seasons where he's like 18 or over. He's a perfect like role player or whatever. But yeah. Yep. MVP, it's a tough one this year. I mean, you can even make the argument for Giannis. With Booker, he's in the conversation, obviously, but the way the Luka and Giannis and the Jayson Tatums, the way their points are coming and those numbers, they're almost tough to beat. You know, Devin Booker's got the narrative right now where Phoenix is, you know, this really good team. They're top in the West, right, where the West got a lot more competitive relative to last season, and there's no Chris Paul. Simple as that. So even look at Devin Booker's case. I'm not saying he is MVP, but the point that he's keeping this team afloat without their point guard, it says a lot because, I mean, I know he was a different player years before, and there's a different, you know, set of guys around him, like there are a different set of role players. But I remember there was this whole thing about Devin Booker where it was like, we ain't do none of this with Chris Paul until Chris Paul got there. Devin Booker can't lead a team. That was like a short narrative or whatever. And then I think the last couple of years, or this year and last, he started proving it. Because you even remember last year when Chris Paul was out again, he made it. Booker began another NBA run for himself because he was able to keep that team afloat at the top of the West when CP3 was out. So I'm not saying he is the front runner, but even though his points are low, he can have that argument for that top spot just based off of that, the point that he's keeping them afloat without their second all-star even being on the team and playing well. So
he definitely can, because if you think about it, it's crazy because I know the stretch we're talking about last year, because then they had the best record in the league. The Suns had the best record in the league last year, and he was averaging like 27 points. If that was a situation that was like if that situation happened 10 years ago, undoubtedly he would probably win MVP. But like in the 2020s, it's just like it's hard for dudes to win the MVP if they're not averaging 30. I feel like.
It's tough. It's tough to compete. It's tough to compete. If you look at Steph, 23 points a game, right? He doesn't win. His first MVP is 2015. He gets 23 a game. He's not winning that MVP, even if the Warriors are top. He's not winning it if you're competing with the Jayson Tatum who's averaging 30 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like his number just it's a great narrative, but they can't stack up with those other guys.
And I still would debate anybody. James Harden should have won that MVP. I would debate that with anybody.
Yeah.
The second one, Steph won. It was clear that he deserved that. Like he was on some other shit. I ain't never seen nobody play like that. Me personally, but that first one, I really think James Harden should have got that.
Yeah, I got a hot MVP take. Okay, not saying he's gonna get it, but I'm saying he said but not saying he's gonna get it, but he will be top 10 in the conversation if he can get his numbers back up to about not even top 10. Maybe top 7 in the conversation if he can get his numbers up to if he can get this point per game up to about 20 points a game and can keep this team afloat. Check this out. That they're number 4 in the East. He's leading the NBA in assists. Tyrese Halliburton can at least get top 7. He's going to be top 7 on my list if he goes 20-11 by the end of the season, and the Pacers somehow, some way, figure out a way to stay top 5 in the Eastern Conference. That's my hot MVP take. He can get just outside of top 5, get around 6 or 7 if he can go 20-11 and keep the Pacers afloat.
If he keeps them double digit assists, you're probably right. I'd say top 10 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe top 7, maybe top 8. You might be right, but I don't think that's crazy. Because if he keeps the double digit assists up, that's going to help his case. If he only averages if it drops down miraculously to 6 assists, he's probably not going to get her to 7. But if he keeps it 20 and 10, he probably will. Because Chris Paul has done something similar to that. He haven't even averaged 20. He's averaged 17 before and averaged 10 assists and been in MVP conversation.
That's facts right there. But somebody out there is gonna call me crazy because goddamn it, we gonna make that a snippet. Somebody gonna call us crazy for thinking that. But you got to remember how many quote unquote MVP runs did Chris Paul make when he was not even that? He was barely even averaging 18 a game. But the assist numbers,
he made about 2, maybe.
Right. So why can't, you know what I'm saying? My thing is, if that's the case, we got Halliburton leading a rebuilding Pacers team, and this is if they can keep it up. But he's leading a rebuilding Pacers team, which looks like right now, looks like they're years above schedule, years ahead of schedule. He's leading them to a great record out in the Eastern Conference, and they have a lot of quality wins. If he can keep it up at 20-11, for us to say that this dude can end up being an MVP candidate, or just for him to even be top 7 in that conversation, no, it's not winning it, but for him to be in that area, right? For him to even be on that ladder in some part is something we really didn't expect from a guy, who dropped in the draft lower than what. I don't know where y'all thought, but I thought he dropped way lower in that draft than he should have. I thought he should have been the 5th overall pick. I thought Chicago should have went for him. And I thought he was better than LaMelo at the time. And I think he's better than LaMelo right now. So shout out to Tyrese. I had to throw his name in there because we haven't talked about him a lot.
LaMelo been.
He's better than LaMelo?
100%. 100%. I can't. Now, I will say this. I can't name that. I'll have to see what Tyrese does in the playoffs, because I think one thing with LaMelo that made me kind of change my mind was how bad he was when they got to those games that mattered. You know what I'm saying? And also I'm comparing a guy who's not really on the court, especially this season, to a guy who's been on the court for a long time.
I was about to say something hella skin. I was about to say, who that remind you of?